All right, now we have the New York Giants versus the Seattle Seahawks. So, reminder for the audience, Dave and I record these on Monday mornings so that we can get all the waiver stuff out as fast as possible for people because that's kind of the hottest commodity, especially this time of year. So, long story short, we haven't seen the Seattle Seahawks play the Philadelphia Eagles yet. Now, I'm assuming the Philadelphia Eagles are desperate. They're going to give Seattle a little bit more of a run for their money. If the Seattle Seahawks get upset or if it's a closer game than everybody thinks, long story short, again, I'm not freaking out about it. But let's just assume everybody's healthy. Let's assume Seattle's at full strength. The New York Giants disappointed me this week against the Cincinnati Bengals. The special teams touchdown that happens, but to win that game only by 2 points, and I've been saying I think the New York Giants might be at this point the best team in the NFC East, and they still might be. They are in first place, and based on tiebreakers. I just wasn't impressed. I'm a little bit more concerned than anything, and I think Seattle is definitely a stronger team. So let's shift it quickly to the fantasy football stuff. Daniel Jones, I know he left with a hamstring injury. Preliminary reports early in the week say he's going to be back. I still don't start him. Gallman seems to score every week, so I guess you could start him. David, you've been on him for a while, and he scores a rushing touchdown every week. So
5 straight weeks.
Yeah, and that just shows you, Garrett and the Giants, they commit to giving the ball to the running back on the goal line. That's a big deal. That's a huge deal. I have Aaron Jones. He can't get in the freaking end zone. The Green Bay Packers score 41 points, doesn't get in the end zone. I'm dying here. Come on. Anyway, the New York Giants, you can start Gallman because he's going to get red zone touches and opportunities there. I probably stay away from everybody outside of maybe Slayton, in terms of pass catchers, even against Seattle's defense. Now, Seattle, on the other hand, I start Russell Wilson. Chris Carson, I believe, will be playing by that point, even if he doesn't play on Monday Night Football, which I believe he's still questionable. I start running back. I would even go as far as to say start 2 running backs for the Seattle Seahawks. I start Lockett and Metcalf every week. I don't care. I'm staying away from tight end and the other guys that they have, Swain and more. I like him daily fantasy kind of budget plays, but I'm not going to play him in my redraft. Take that away, David.
I'm not even going to talk about the Seahawks because everybody knows
what to do.
You know what to do with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the Giants because they have probably two of, if not the top 2 underrated, consistent performers. And that's not just Wayne Gallman. That's also Sterling Shepard, who just keeps getting it done. And you mentioned Darius Slayton. Right now, Sterling Shepard is the Giants wide receiver to have rostered. He has been ridiculously consistent. He's got double-digit fantasy points in PPR formats in every single game this year, except for week 2 when he got hurt. So you throw out the game he got hurt, it's double digits. It's double digits, double digits, double digits. 10 points, 17, 15, 11, 10, 13. He just keeps getting it done. And this isn't just this year. This goes back to last year. He didn't have a game under, I think, 7.9 fantasy points since week 5 of last year. So this guy is just, the floor is ridiculously high. The ceiling is not there. It's just not. Maybe against Seattle it is this week. So Sterling Shepard, he's a must start because the floor has been there regardless of lineup. And now he's in a possible ceiling matchup. Absolutely, he's a must start this week. Darius Slayton, I like him more in DFS because it's getting hard to trust him. He had a great matchup against Cincinnati this week. He put up a bagel.
Yeah.
2 targets. And since Sterling Shepard's come back, it's been inconsistent. The ceiling hasn't been there. 2 for 23 week 7, then 5 for 56, 1 for 6, 5 for 93, then 0 this bagel this past week. So it's been like up and down in the ceiling. Just he had a 30-point game earlier in the year, a 22-point game early in the year, and he hasn't topped 14 in any other game. So how much of it has to do with the injuries? He's been playing through an ankle. I know he hurt his shoulder as well. So I don't know how healthy he is. I mean, I'll give him a chance in deeper leagues against Seattle. It's a great matchup, but I'm biting my tongue when I do it. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping for the best. The guy who I'm really watching tonight to see in the Seattle-Philadelphia matchup is Dallas Goedert, because I want to know how playable is Evan Ingram next week, and especially when you look at DFS, how much exposure do I want to Evan Ingram next week? And keep in mind, I'm not great at DFS, so toss whatever advice I give you there right into the trash bin. I've won about negative $12. But still, this is what I'm looking for because I want to know. Seattle has allowed a ton of points to quarterbacks and wide receivers this year, but they've been stingy to tight ends. So I want to know, is that a lot to do with the tight ends and wide receivers they played. So is it distorting that statistic? Or are they really good at shutting down the tight end? We're going to find out tonight with Dallas Goedert. And we're going to see, okay, is Goddard able to play well against the Seattle defense, or do they shut him down as well? What Dallas Goedert does this week is going to affect my feelings a lot for Evan Ingram next week. Let's put it that way.
Let me hit the line here. New York Giants, according to Bovada, plus 7.5 versus the Seattle Seahawks. Who you got?
That's it?
That's it.
I feel like that should be one of the biggest spreads of the week. I mean, come on. The Giants barely – did they even beat Cincinnati? Did they lose that game?
No, they did. They ended up eking it out, 27-25.
By 2 points. Like, I'm going to take Seattle here. I don't care. If it's a 10-point spread, I'll take Seattle.
Yeah, I'm going to take Seattle. I don't think that the Giants – look, I like the Giants' defense. I don't think – Russell Wilson's just on a different level this year. I don't think the Giants' defense can do enough against the Seattle Seahawks offense to really keep them in check. So it's tough, which is interesting because the NFC East at this point, I think Washington and the New York Giants are cut above everybody else. The Giants have to deal with Seattle, and Washington has to deal with, I believe, the Steelers this week. So tough matchups. Probably the leaders of that division are going to drop to 4-8. It's likely 4-8, and then Dallas, if that Baltimore game ends up getting played on time and all that stuff, they'll probably be 3-8 or 3-9, I should say. It's wild, man. It's wild. Let's see. Next game on the list here.